What's happening, people? It's been a long time since I've been on YouTube, at least dealing with movies. The last time I think I was on YouTube, I was dealing with the Joker movie. Hi, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Christ, I am Disciple. You are watching my channel. If you like what you're seeing, don't forget that you can subscribe, share, and you can also donate to my channel via Western Union or MoneyGram. Comment in this live stream, or you can, if you want to, comment in the comments below after the video is done. All right, we're going to talk about the Snyder Cut. I got a lot to cover because I know some of you guys know most of this stuff, but been up on Twitter right now. Again, we're pushing a drive to get WB's attention when it comes to the Snyder Cut. A lot of great things have happened. So the most recent event, of course, today is that Zack Snyder dropped the black suit Superman. So Superman, indeed, in his movie, was supposed to wear the black suit, especially after he was resurrected. When he went into the ship to get the suits, he was supposed to get the black suit. He would go look at the blue suit, and then he would turn around and get the black suit. So Black Suit Superman from the resurrection of Superman from the comics. So Zach was going with that. And it would be very interesting. He talked about a lot of things on Vero. Zach has been very vocal for the last 2 years, but he's also now come back on Twitter and been vocal there as well. So let's see if we can do some catching up before I go on to some other things concerning the Snyder Cut. Shout out to each and every one of you guys. If you're on my channel, thank you for visiting, and we will talk a little bit about this. So first of all, one of the first things we realized was that Zack Snyder's support for Zack Snyder's movie came from Gal Gadot, Ben Affleck. They were the two most recent people to jump on board. Of course, Jason Momoa, of course, speaking about seeing the Snyder Cut and that it's a different version to what came out in the theaters. And in addition to that, he said, you don't think that Zack completed the work? And we know now it's completed, that the finished cut, the director's cut of Justice League is 3 hours and 34 minutes long. And of course, some people say that's way too long for Justice League. I disagree. We all know that Avengers Endgame was 3 hours and 3 minutes long, 3 hours and 6 minutes long, something like that. Zack Snyder's done Watchmen, the director's cut, 3 hours and 35 minutes long. And there are a bunch of movies that are really legendary movies, epics especially, that are generally long, 3 hours and change. So I don't find that a problem, to be honest with you. But apparently, the detractors are going with that. Remember, I began by thinking that it wasn't a cut, that the cut that we saw, though I know it was changed and altered, I thought it was a diluted cut, chopped down cut of Zack Snyder's movie. And I've changed from then to now talking about the cut being definitely different. I've agreed with everybody. After I saw the deleted scene with Superman, I realized that Zack Snyder had a completed cut, or a cut that was pretty much completed, a lot more complete than I thought. And of course, I was reading online and stuff. But let's catch up. So we're going to go backwards first, okay? A little bit. So the campaign really took on a very life of its own on the November the 17th, which was the second anniversary of the Snyder Cut movement pushing for the Snyder Cut, and the second anniversary of the release of Justice League in theaters. So it was remarkable because I was present there, and I was also part of the whole thing. People were just really throwing out, a lot of stuff was going on. And then, of course, Subway and then a bunch of sandwich companies have joined into this Release the Snyder Cut movement. So Subway is back in, and I myself had my Subway. I put it up on Twitter. I think I put it up also on YouTube. I think I put it up on YouTube for you guys. Some videos on that. And so the Release the Snyder Cut movement, really took on a life of its own November the 17th. But since then, it's even accelerated even more. Warner Brothers has been sort of starting to talk about Zack's movies. We saw today Man of Steel was there in Warner Brothers UK. We see that Warner Brothers liked Zack Snyder's Twitter. So something's going on. definitely in the background. Um, with respect to Justice League, we as fans just need to continue putting the heat, putting the pressure on with the release of Snyder Cut movement. So we just have to keep on doing that, and pretty much Warner Bros. Will they will break down and they will give us what we want. It's a matter of time. So we have to keep on pressing with the release of the Snyder Cut movement. Zack Snyder claimed that his version of Justice League is the Snyder's Justice League. So he also said that on Vero. Circulated all around Twitter. Twitter has been trending #1 a couple times since that time. Besides the Gal Gadot, Ben Affleck time, it's also trending #1 a couple times. We've seen people like Collider, people on Collider acknowledging the Snyder Cut movement, realizing that Warner Bros. Will give in to the request of this movement eventually, and sooner than later. People are talking about HBO Max as the site for where the recent Snyder Cut movement, can have Justice League Snyder's version showcased. We'll see. Um, there's a lot of things here going on. We could talk about before that. Uh, more and more information kept on coming out on Justice League. More and more behind the scenes information. I couldn't even keep track of all the information that was coming out, pictures and videos and all kinds of things. And it showed that Zack Snyder's Justice League, in fact, was real. And then, of course, the big bomb that dropped was the 214-minute picture showing, the director's cut. Of course, Zack Snyder speaking to fans, telling them that he has a cut. It's done. Of course, even before that, Zack Snyder coming back from China from the Wonder Woman premiere in 2017 talked about how his cut was done digitally, but he's thinking of putting it on film. So he had a finished cut of Justice League, and he had several cuts of it. Just today, somebody was saying, "Man, we need to come by you and watch this Justice League film." You know what I'm saying? Get down with that. I'm just saying that I think Zach is doing this credibly. Of course, shout out to Fiona. Shout out to Release the Snyder Cut on Twitter. Shout out to all the people who have stayed and persevered in the Release the Snyder Cut movement. You guys have done a hell of a job. I haven't been there all the time. I just came back and been mostly being vociferous on Twitter. What people needed to know was that there was a voice out there that really persisted and believed that Zack Snyder's movies were good, and also believed that Warner Brothers did him wrong and did the people industry wrong, and that they were not going to stop until they got the justice. And I think that's just fair. And the Release the Snyder Cut movement has been seen as all kinds of things. People have been very denigrating and stuff, but now people are taking the Snyder Cut movement seriously, which is really great. It's a very big movement. We saw in Brazil just how people behaved in Brazil just up to today. The Brazilian figures were ridiculous. Talking about millions and millions of likes just for one tweet representing, Snyder Cut. Of course, we know that Ryan Reynolds, he spoke about it in his movie Six Underground, and it's a Michael Bay film, and he was talking about, it's basically the Snyder Cut, and that just, people in Brazil just went nuts with that. We know that Brazil warmly receives Batman v Superman, warmly receives Man of Steel, and it's sad because the people in America who should know better, they're the people that don't know better. And the people in the rest of the world outside have actually enjoyed Batman v Superman. I remember doing a survey in the place where I was, and some people were rating it 8 out of 10. Some people were rating it 7 out of 10. Very few people rated it 6 out of 10. A lot of people actually enjoyed the movies. There were certain points which were confusing to them. This is theatrical cut I'm talking about. Confusing to them, but they still persevered to the end. Now, some people, because they were Superman fans, didn't like that Superman got killed, and so they just hate the movie because Superman died. And then I'm still seeing some of these trolls online and some of these people online who are still bitter, but they're less and less and less because people are realizing, what Zack Snyder actually brings out in his movies, what happened to him, see him as a human being, realize he's not trying to antagonize people. He was really trying to give a movie of substance. And to this day, Batman v Superman, you're still getting new things you see when you watch that film. So it's really a fantastic film. I agree it's a masterpiece, especially the Ultimate Edition. And I do believe that Justice League is just going to be a movie that's just, you know, blows it out the park. It's the third of the trilogy. We learned there's 5 movies actually. There would have been 2 more movies after that. So this is people said this from the jump up. I remember Sharif Faruqi putting that out there, and now we realize, oh yeah, it really was that. He had put out all this information before. It is what it is. I didn't know better at the time. But what this leads to is we will get the Snyder Cut version of Justice League very soon. Very, very soon. Of course, the Assembly Cut of Justice League is like 5 hours long. He answered Scott Mendelson, who's a hater, as we all know. And Zack Snyder was able to just answer him one time, let him know, no, the version that you saw, 214 minutes, 3 hours and 34 minutes, that's the real deal. Shout out to whoever just liked my video. Don't forget you can subscribe, donate to my channel. So, keeping it moving. Yes, so the Snyder Cut, and you can also comment on this stream if you want to. The Snyder Cut is definitely real. We know this now as a fact. Not only is it real, it's completed. Warner Bros. Does not put out any money except for distribution, and it depends on how they want to distribute it. If they want to distribute it via Blu-ray, DVD, if they want to distribute it on HBO Max, or if they want to distribute it in theaters. In my personal opinion, to do justice to it, they need to put it out in theaters, whether it's before or after they put out the HBO Max or the DVDs, but they need to put it out there because there's a growing swell of people, even the detractors, who want to see this cut of Justice League. And I know there's some people on YouTube who are just really idiots and they just go in on Justice League and they say this is not my Superman or whatever. But at the end of the day, when we look at Joker, some people didn't like Joker. Some people didn't appreciate Joker, and it got a 69% on Rotten Tomatoes. 69% of the critics like Joker. I mean, that's not a great critical rating, you know what I'm saying? But it grossed over $1 billion. Now, this Justice League would have easily grossed over $1 billion if the Warner Bros. Just kept their grimy hands off of it. But that regime is gone. We have a new regime now, so we'll see what happens with the release of the Snyder Cut movement. But Zack Snyder is really, I think, critical and pivotal to this movement. I remember Patty Jenkins, because a lot of people are talking about, Patty Jenkins and, Henry Cavill, how they're against, it seems as though they're not supporting the movement or whatever. Listen, Patty Jenkins got a movie coming up. It's Wonder Woman. She got to look out for Wonder Woman. All right? Now, a lot of people are talking about, Patty Jenkins says nobody saw the Snyder Cut. She's not saying, I don't think she was saying about everybody. I think she was talking about the people in her group, in her little thing with Gal and they. Nobody there saw it. But obviously, Jason Momoa saw it. And some other people saw it. But I guess the NDA says you can't say nothing. Maybe they tied them like that, so they can't say that. But what I do know is this, that Patty Jenkins was the person that frowned on how Wonder Woman was treated by the guy who directed the Avengers, Joss Whedon. Okay, she hated it. She was glad when Joss Whedon was fired or removed from Justice League. She was happy. Okay, Warner Bros. Removed him from doing Batgirl, I think it was. She was very relieved and happy, and she actually liked that. And I'm just saying this to say that I don't think Patty Jenkins is against Zack Snyder. I think she's trying to roll on. She's trying to promote her movie right now, which is Wonder Woman 84. So I don't think Patty Jenkins, as far as I know, I may be wrong. I don't think she's trying to. I mean, she did throw a jab at Zack Snyder. She did say, "I'm not that director that does 3 hour plus films, 3 hour 30-minute films." She threw a jab at him, in that respect. But in my opinion, you could take it on the surface level and say, well, yeah, that's true. Zack Snyder does 3 hours, 30-minute films, 3 hours, 3 minute films, whatever. But at the end of the day, whether Patty Jenkins does small film or big films, in my personal opinion, DJ Lost and Found, shout out to you, my brother. You say, bro, release the Snyder Cut. Yes, sir. I'm on Twitter, so you can check me out on Twitter by my name, Anson Phillip. You also check me out on Facebook, but I haven't been really on Facebook talking release the Snyder Cut. I've been mostly on Twitter. But anyway, back to what I was saying. So, at the end of the day, whether she was throwing a jab at him or not, the point is, at the end of the day, she's going to put out Wonder Woman 84. He's going to be one of the executive producers on the movie. He really had nothing to do with his name go on the new movie. But nonetheless, she's going to do her movie, okay? She got it helped writing the movie with Jeff Johns, and they're gonna do Wonder Woman 84. Now, to be honest with you guys, I'm gonna be 100% honest with you guys. I'm not really excited for most of the DC films that are upcoming. Birds of Prey does not intrigue me. It's too funny, it's too laughy, and not really my thing. And then Wonder Woman 84, it sparked some of my interest. You know, her riding the Thunderbolt and all that stuff. But to be honest with you, the thing that really sparks my interest, the thing that I really want to see, is the Snyder Cut now. I saw Brightburn this year, it was good. I saw Joker this year, it was good. Did not watch Shazam. Did not watch Aquaman. Not in the cinema, at least. Those are not my kinds of movies. Zack Snyder's Justice League. It's time. It's time, ladies and gentlemen, that movie comes out. It is time. Warner Brothers has all the time in the world. It is time for that movie to come out. And the truth is out there now. So Warner Brothers has to release that Snyder Cut. And if they don't, then we as fans will continue to speak louder and louder, make more and more noise, and more people will support until almost every interview that somebody had, the director or whoever, will be asked about the Snyder Cut. It'll become ridiculous. Warner Brothers won't be able to go Comic-Con and do anything without somebody getting up and speaking about the Snyder Cut, and then a whole bunch of other people throwing in. There's going to be a lot of pressure put on them by the Snyder Cut family because people know now that they wronged Zack Snyder. They know that the then vice president lied about this being Zack Snyder's film, the theatrical cut, and that everything's running to plan, and they did false advertising for the movie that they really wanted to put out. So whether they were trying to change course or not, I don't think that was good in my point of view. They say they're a director-driven film company. Then you need to let the directors drive the company, okay? And it's sad because a number of directors, left projects because Warner Brothers wanted this hee ha ha style of doing things. Now they did do Todd Phillips' Joker. Did very well at the box office. Not so great in the United States box office, but very, very well overseas. The point is, Todd Phillips' Joker follows in the vein of what Zack Snyder does with his movies, in that it's a serious movie. It's not a wide-scale epic like Zack Snyder's movie, but it's kind of grounded. It's more of a real take on the Joker, how he developed. It's not really directly according to the comics, but it does have a lot of the comics in it. But the point I'm making is this. We've been seeing validation after validation for Zack Snyder's movies. Man of Steel, Brightburn came out. People were saying, oh, Superman is dark. This is a dark take on Superman. Well, go watch Brightburn. Go watch Brightburn. You will see what a dark take on Superman is. And I think that these directors who did these other movies are like satellites to, for instance, Man of Steel or Batman v Superman, because they help to acknowledge it. Just recently here, we see that in the CW universe, Batman killed Superman, right? I didn't see it, but, And again, that's a testimony that the reason they take this risk in the CW and make it happen is because what BVS set the tone for that. Now, BVS is a much better movie, in my opinion, than CW will ever be because they're not movies. And then, two, I think the Batman in BVS is much more redemptive, and it's just a whole other. But what it leads to is that, CW wouldn't have taken that risk, especially them, if it wasn't for the fact that BVS came out. And unfortunately for Zack Snyder, his films are constantly, especially his most recent films, constantly tampered by WB. Watchmen was tampered by WB. There was a longer version. Sucker Punch was tampered by WB. There's a longer version. Man of Steel wasn't touched because of Christopher Nolan. BVS was touched by, again, WB because, again, they're trying to get Zack to run a certain time frame. Zack would have just run 3 hours and 3 minutes. They couldn't have that. The film needs to breathe. Zack Snyder's movies sometimes are long because they're epics. And I just think that they just fucked it all up, Warner Brothers. And that's on them. Sorry about the F-bomb. So, at the end of the day, this is what we're talking about. So, release the Snyder movement. DJ Lawson Farr says, Wonder Woman 84 doesn't look good to me. Okay, Cool, 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 cool. Zill Nation says, and maybe the something. You were saying something and then you stopped. DJ Lost and Found says, I love to see. Hold on a second. I love to see a grounded suspense thriller based on The Toy Maker. DC's Dark could make some brilliant movies. Well, remember they have also the streaming service was doing Titans. I think they pulled Swamp Thing, and they had a bunch of other movies. I'm sorry, series that they were putting out. Krypton's on Sci-Fi. I haven't followed Krypton since. But the point that I'm making is this: BVS kind of set the tone for comic book movies. Period. Um, it was a mistyped. Okay, talk to me, Zill Nation. Yeah, BVS set the tone for comic book movies. Period. It is this gold standard. You know, when you talk about Captain America: Civil War, they changed it up. It was supposed to be just a Captain America 3, and then they changed it to Captain America: Civil War because of Batman v Superman. You know, you look at, I heard Avengers Endgame, which I did not watch, was again a lot of Batman v Superman stuff was inside of there. Zill Nation says, I like Wonder Woman's new trailer. Yes, it's cool. I mean, it's cool. It's just that for me, Zill Nation, I am not anticipating that as much as I'm anticipating the Snyder Cut because I just know the Snyder Cut's going to be that much better. You know, when you look at when I rank DC films, I'm not even talking DCEU. When I'm ranking DC films, you know what goes at the top of the DC film list? Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice Ultimate Edition. That's the best DC film out of all the DC films, in my opinion. Okay. Next is probably I don't know, because not for me really, but anyway, The Dark Knight with Heath Ledger. Okay, you know, and probably Man of Steel comes 3. Maybe not. Maybe Man of Steel comes 2. Okay, then number 3, maybe The Dark Knight, and then number 4 might be Wonder Woman. You know, it could interchange. You know what I mean? Then you got the Joker. Joker was good, so Joker could have come before Wonder Woman. So I would have said, when I think about it, Batman v Superman, Man of Steel, Joker, The Dark Knight, Wonder Woman. That's how I rank it. You know what I mean? And Wonder Woman was a hell of a movie. You know what I mean? In terms of comic book movies, then probably Black Panther comes next. Then Captain America, the first Avenger. You know, I'm just talking off the top of my head, but me personally, I would tell you guys, I believe that you know, Justice League was going to be that movie that was taking it to a whole other level. And I did not know that it was part 2 and 3. It was like a 3-part to Justice League. Well, I don't know if Zack Snyder will still do that. I don't know what his plans are, but we missed out on a lot of stuff, man. We missed out on an epic storytelling because of Warner Brothers, and they're really just twisted decision making. Like they don't understand what the fans want. You know, they keep on giving us movies we didn't ask for. Like nobody asked for Joker. You know what I mean? Nobody asked for Joker. You giving us Joker. You know what I mean? Nobody. I mean, okay, we knew that Aquaman was coming on the rise. There's a Cyborg movie. They didn't talking nothing about no Cyborg movie. They're talking about Flash in 2021. That's cool, but we don't want no hee hee ha ha Flash. We want a serious kind of Flash. He gonna be funny, yes, but we want a serious Flash. And I mean, it's one of those things where I look at what Warner Brothers does, and you really question their logic a lot of times. You know, they're trying to change Zack Snyder's timeline. Says Zill Nation. I hear you, brother. Zill Nation says everyone forgot Nolan Batman film. It's not Batman films, and about villains to me. I want a Cyborg movie. Yeah, man. I really want a Cyborg movie, man. I really do. Cyborg was the most interesting thing in BVS. A lot of people said that little snapshot of Cyborg was really cool. And we didn't get that in Justice League. But to your point, you said that Nolan's Batman, especially The Dark Knight, wasn't a Batman film. It was a Batman film. It wasn't comic book accurate, but it was a Batman film. Just like our Joker is a Joker film. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you know, all directors take some kind of liberty in what they do. They don't want the character to just be what is coming from the pages of the comics. So I'm cool with it. You know, moving on to going back in the timeline. So basically, a couple things happened. One, when we moved back from November 17th, before that we had Zack Snyder putting out images after images after images, okay, and they were really cool stuff, and it just kept hinting towards the fact that the Snyder Cut was present. Because there's still a lot of people saying, "Oh, there's no Snyder Cut, and it's not finished, and it'll take millions of dollars to do," and that was not true. And thankfully, because of the donations towards suicide prevention, thankfully, because of Subway's putting up donations, because of our tweets of release the Snyder Cut, they put up donations to feed 15,000 people in the program that Ben Affleck has. Because of that, the Snyder Cut movie is seen as a very positive, productive sort of movement. And you'll notice that Zack Snyder stays on Vero because they don't want negativity on Vero. Vero is a place where you want to keep positivity. Anyway, you know, the movement, even though we've had our ups and downs, we have clashes and all those kind of crazy things that happen in the movement, it was held together because of these positive people like Fiona Zhang, you know, released the Snyder Cut RT dude on Twitter, and a number of other guys who kind of hold the movement together so that people don't self-destruct. Because a lot of people try to attack the movement on the inside, pretending to be release the Snyder Cut fans to try and get the movement to decay and be destroyed, but it didn't happen, right? And Zack Snyder keep on giving us updates every single day on the Snyder Cut. There's so much the Snyder Cut that we know now, in terms of story and everything, and it even touched the surface. But we know, you know, Darkseid was going to be in that movie. We know that Superman without the black suit. We know that Martian Manhunter was supposed to be in that movie at a certain point. You know, it just, I mean, the characters and the names that was supposed to be in Justice League would have blown us out the water. 3 hours 34 minutes is a great time to take. You know, and the longer Zack Snyder film, you know, the more we like it. Okay, so you know, this is what was going on. Mainly a debate on whether the Snyder Cut movie exists. Well, we know it exists now, and on top of that, it's completed. So with this kind of information, we just keep on pushing now. We don't know what exactly the content of it is, but we know it's completed and it was done. And we know this from the deleted scenes that we saw with the theatrical Justice League movie that was on DVD and Blu-ray. And then we know also that Zack Snyder himself said it was done. Not just him, but also Jason Momoa talked about it being finished, you know, to the MTV guys. So, I mean, it's really cool. And then all these actors supporting, all these people even from MCU guys who are supporting this, like Dave Bastuta, you know. This is just great. It's great that this is happening. This is a good thing. We're hearing people like Ryan Reynolds talking about, you know, release the Snyder Cut movement, you know, talking about the Snyder Cut and stuff. This is great. And it's a topic that trended on Twitter 3 times, probably trended today as well. It's not going away anytime soon. Warner Bros. Is not able to put this behind them. And the more they do not respond, it's just the more intense it will get for them. And we are here to just make sure that the Snyder Cut comes out. We're not going to have it any other way. We're not compromising anything. We're just going to keep on sticking it to them until they give in, because they will give in, because the studio cannot take that kind of pressure. That's bad PR for them. They want to put up a new movie, and it's only all you hear is Snyder Cut in the background, and release the Snyder Cut. That's all you're hearing nonstop. That pressure, they're not going to be able to handle it. This is not going to be a Richard Donner situation. This is going to be a situation where I can guarantee you it's going to be resolved rather quickly. And we're not going to wait. We're going to put pressure on them until they concede and they give in and they decide to release the Snyder Cut. That's how it's going to go down. Zill Nation says everybody talks about villains instead of Batman, and Nolan failed as a Batman director to me. I mean, Christopher Nolan's the guy that allowed Zack to come on and do Man of Steel. So I'm not really, you know, like I said before, I don't think that Christopher Nolan is comic book savvy and all of that. He just went in to put a movie where the Batman character was in there. And there's a lot of things that didn't go according to the comics. It's not comic accurate like that, but at the same time, it is a Batman movie. And The Dark Knight is a hell of a Batman movie. You cannot deny it. So you have to just, I mean, Heath Ledger's performance was crazy. I mean, even Heath Ledger is not really the Joker. I mean, if you think about it, it's very convincing. He has elements of the Joker in it in his story, but again, you have to understand the premise of Batman. Batman is saying it's a premise that what if Batman existed in our world? Same thing like Zack Snyder's premise. What if Superman existed in our world? Okay, so he's not trying to go absolutely comic book centric. He's trying because some of the things that comic book centric just don't make no damn sense, right? So that's where Christopher Nolan's coming from. But his different the difference between him and Zack is Zack comes from a first person perspective. What I mean by that is Christopher Nolan comes from an observing perspective, and you see the characters moving on the screen. Zack Snyder is coming from a personal perspective. Patty Jenkins did the same thing and personalized Wonder Woman and came from Wonder Woman's perspective. Joker came from Joker's perspective. Aquaman came from that was again an observation from afar, kind of like Christopher Nolan stuff. So that wasn't really from Aquaman's perspective per se. But when you look at, say, for instance, Wonder Woman, where she has, dreams and there's flashback scenes and she's telling the story. When you look at Man of Steel, it's Kal-El's perspective. This is why, we hear about his suffering and how he has to adjust to Earth and all of these other things. When you look at Batman v Superman, we're looking at the world's perspective of Superman. But yet we see Superman's perspective of when he does not. There are different perspectives you're looking at. So Zack Snyder did something unique, which is have multiple perspectives and different people having different perspectives on this given thing, which is what the world views Superman as. Okay, so that was BVS. It was very unique. Even the theatrical cut was very unique how it was done. You felt the horror elements, you felt the levity at certain points in time, you felt the action adventure, you felt the thriller moments. It was a hell of a movie in that respect. It had so many different composites to it, and of course the political pieces of it, and then of course the art and the mythology and all many different aspects to BVS that make it a really astoundingly great film. So continuing onwards though, what do we do from here? So for us in the Release the Snyder Cut movement, the first things you guys need to do is, if you don't have a Twitter account, get in Twitter and continue to patch yourself into the Release the Snyder Cut movement. You can always check out my Twitter or Film Gob or Best Fiona Zhang, or you can check out Release the Snyder Cut. There's actually a Twitter page called Release the Snyder Cut. So all of those pages are great for you to follow that. Now, there's this sentiment amongst Release the Snyder Cut fans that, Patty Jenkins, Wonder Woman is, because Jeff Johns is in there and Wonder Woman's being kind of demilitarized and stuff, that, it's going to be probably not as good as the first Wonder Woman movie. Maybe it won't be. Maybe it will be. The movie, again, has multiple villains. It has Cheetah and it has Maxwell Lord. And we know Maxwell Lord kind of manipulates people's minds. So it should be an interesting movie, okay? From what I gather from Wonder Woman 84, it looks like Maxwell Lord manipulated Wonder Woman or Diana's mind, so she's seeing Steve Trevor, but really and truly Maxwell Lord is using some energy or something from her mind and from other people to have her have this imaginary reality when it comes to Steve. I don't know how he did it. I don't know. We'll find out about that in the movie. But what I can say is that Wonder Woman 84, it does get my interest. I like certain things in it. Other things in it I didn't really truly appreciate. Maybe when I see the movie I'll appreciate more. But it's not a movie that really captures my interest like how Wonder Woman, the first Wonder Woman movie did. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. But with respect to people talking about, if Zack Snyder's movie came out, then Warner Brothers might have to retcon other things. And listen, they ain't got to do nothing. Zack Snyder's movie comes out, we as fans wanted to see it. We want to see the movie. And we don't care. If it doesn't fit with continuity, it's not a problem for us. We just want to see the movie, okay? And I think that's just the most important thing, that the integrity of the director be allowed to be seen and voiced. And there are people who want that to happen. And it's growing and growing and growing. So whoever wants to try and bash Zack Snyder's movie because they don't like Zack Snyder or whatever, that's on them. You know what I mean? Um, so that's all I got for now. I got some other things I wanted to say to you guys, but I'm gonna do that some other time. In the meantime, you guys stay good. Don't forget you can subscribe, share this video, and donate by Western Union MoneyGram. I think I'm done right now for this. Any other questions you guys have for me, let me know. Otherwise, I'm out. See what you guys are saying here. That's about it. Zill Nation, shout out to you. Shout out to also DJ Lost and Found. It was nice talking to you guys. I'm going to catch you guys later. Peace. I'm out.